out and find a job. Then they have to pay taxes on the job. Then they cannot vote. And I call that. I call that taxation without representation. Look at that. And it's one of the things that we would learn to do. They did a grand thing when they took that discipline away from us, because when they made our parents afraid to discipline the children, then what happened? We found out that the teachers were afraid of the principals were scared of the superintendent was scared of the school boards were scared of the parents were scared of the children, and the children ain't scared of nobody. The last statement, the reason why we're so pleased to have the covenant, it makes all of this type foolishness stop. It's going on under Angela Glover in San Francisco. It's all over the country. They're all saying we finally have a movement where we can take back over the minds of our children. And the first thing we got to take over, the covenant taught us that we do not have to have black leaders anymore. It told us because everyone in this room is empowered to be a black leader. Everyone in this room. Because see, right now, these people that you're calling black leaders are not what they used to be with Marcus Garvey's day. They're not what they used to be back in the days of W.E.B. Du Bois and Martin Luther King. These were the people that got us together and planted a strategy, and we're not looking for fame. But today's black leaders, I'm afraid to become leading black, and don't ever confuse leading black with black leaders. Let me tell you why you don't do that. One of the reasons you don't confuse them, black leaders are chosen by you. They're chosen by the people they're going to meet. They're chosen by us. And let me tell you about the leading black. The leading blacks are chosen by the media. Leading blacks are chosen by ABC, all broadcasting Caucasians.
Should I stop her or let her go?
Leading blacks are also chosen by NBC. Nothing broadcasting but Caucasians. And the rest is chosen by CBS, the Caucasian broadcasting system. And when you allow leaders to be chosen by the media, to change your lives, when you get ready to demonstrate, when you get ready to march, when you get ready to come to the covenant, when you get ready to endorse and make Travis one of our next elected officials, but what happens? Then you must take the time to carefully watch and see what the leading blacks are doing. Because that's when the leading blacks sneak into the door to the corporations, and they would tell the corporations, oh, we know how to go and put them down. We know how to get you some real affirmative action Negroes to come in here and work. We know how to do that. But at the end of the day, the leading blacks lead the corporations, and the leading blacks have gotten paid while we have gotten slaves.
Please tell me welcome to the House Renee. I'm your host, Renee, and I'm back tonight. We're gonna keep it in. Yeah, family, that was Queen Dr. Julia Hare. I think that speech, that was like, man, that was some years ago. So don't give me the line giving you the wrong date or the wrong year, but that was some years ago at I think that was the, when they used to host the state of the black community, kind of like, I guess, discussion or whatever. Tavis Smiley, I guess they still do it. I'm not sure. I think they do it every year. But anyway, I wanted to open with that because I think the doctor brought forth a lot of things, and what I liked was she was speaking, in terms of a lot of the policies and different things and its effect, and of course speaking about the school system, all of that, and all of those things, all of the policies and everything else that's going on around us definitely help to impact the family, because it's definitely an important conversation that's going to be had tonight. I did a show Tuesday night. If you missed it, it was epic. It was epic AF. Epic as. So please look for that in my archives. You can go to blogtalkradio.com /The Rundown with Renee. Renee spelled Renee. And you can check out that show. And that show was basically dealing with, I think it was, I titled it From Slavery to Scandal, Myths and Lies About Black Women, something to that degree. And that show was, it was a really good show, I think. And I wanted to do that because I feel like there have been so many misconceptions, that have been pushed out there about Black women in slavery. I was actually hearing quite a few brothers on social media, and I'm not talking about all Black men. Let me be very, very clear. There's a segment of these brothers' homes, well, these Black males, I won't even say brothers, but who I was hearing a lot of this stuff from, about that Black women during slavery, they wanted to be with the white man, and they were in a cushy position, all of these sorts of things. I played at the top of that show Tariq Nasheed, and him speaking about this, which, and he was talking about how basically it was a Black woman who thwarted all of the slave rebellions. I mean, he gave no proof, no evidence, no documentation, no research, no anything. He just said that. Basically, that Black women snitched. Is what he talked about on that clip. It might have been from some years ago. But nonetheless, that represents a real, it represents a real mentality for some of these people out here. So anyway, because it's even some sisters or some Black females who think that way as well. And I just think all this extremely disrespectful. Extremely disrespectful to our ancestors to even make those type of sweeping and broad generalizations, knowing that, number one, our people were literally owned. I mean, you're owned. What real options do you have? And that's why I always like to tell these guys, like, so what is it that some of our female ancestors were supposed to do? Is Massa step to them and said it's going down, or Massa's son, or Massa's brother, whatever, any other white man who stepped to them, stepped to little girls or whatever, and said, hey, this is what it's going to be. What are you going to say? I got a headache. I'm tired. I've been working in the field all day. My back hurts. What are you going to say? Like, you can say no, and they'll just be like, oh, okay, no problem. maybe tomorrow night. I mean, and so I don't think people really think those things through. And so we had the amazing Sister Emuna Israel. She was here. She's been on before. Check out that show too in the archives, where we mainly on that talked about the myth of the angry black woman, because she wrote a book on that. But she was here Tuesday night, and she went in. She gave a lot of information. She gave sources. She broke it down more into an individualistic or a personal, I'll say that, more of a personal perspective on some of our ancestors and their stories of what they had to endure. And so I think sometimes when it's looked at from that perspective, it's like, oh man, just knowing what some had to deal with. So to then try to have some look back at 200 years ago or whatever, and try to tell somebody how they should have done. I had a brother tell me, oh, well, they should have just committed suicide. Well, many did. But everybody wasn't going to commit suicide because they were raped. And let's be clear, we know, too, how much bug breaking was going on as well. So our brothers were being raped as well during that time. Our male ancestors were being raped, too. So this idea that they're supposed to do what you feel they should have done, however many years, come on. So anyway, that's what kind of sparked me to do that. But in that show, we didn't get to really bring it a little bit more into modern times, as I hope, because it was such a big conversation. So tonight, we're going to kind of bring it a little bit more up to speed and into more so into a real-time perspective, and dealing with, feminism, okay? Because that's the next thing. Once we get past the, chattel slavery and things, then a lot of times we jump into this narrative about feminism, in that it is black feminism that destroys the black family, or, black women chose to give up on black liberation, for feminism and all this kind of stuff. So we're going to get into all that tonight. But first, let me go and bring in my brother Psycho, who's on the line. Oh, I see my sister Nikki. Oh, we're going to get it in, family. We're going in. I think I see brother Iquani. We're going to get it in tonight, family. It's already a lot of people on my mind. If you think you will have a question or comment, go ahead and press 1. If you are listening online and you would like to contribute to the show, you have to call in. The call-in number is 319-527-6058, 319-527-6058. And this is also on YouTube, and Brother Psycho getting ready to tell y'all about that right now.
Yeah.
Peace. What's up, Psycho? How you doing?
Peace, Renee. How are you doing? What's going on?
Yeah. Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, you can everybody can view this live stream and conversating live chat over on SYKOPATHeist. KOPATHEIST. SYKOPATHeist.
That's right. And once again, if you've seen it, seen the flyer for the show, it's on the flyer, and you will also see that icon, the RBZ mask. You'll see that icon on his YouTube page as well. So see that's on there. And actually, while Brother Nikki, I'm about to put it on my Facebook, the link to the YouTube right now. What's up, Nikki? How you doing?
Peace, Sister Renee. Everything is everything, and peace to all the listeners, and peace to Psycho. And check out his YouTube right now, streaming live. Like, subscribe, comment. The chat is going crazy right now, Sister Renee. So please, everybody, go to YouTube right now. Subscribe to the brother Psycho. He's doing this thing on YouTube. So we're gonna pick it up. And yes, the sister was very powerful, sister. Shout out to that sister Emuna Israel from Tuesday night, running it down, Renee. So we're gonna pick it up today, and I'm ready.
I'm ready. Now, Nikki, let me ask you this. I don't know if somebody's trying to call me while I'm on this line. But anyway, I'm going to find out who that is. Okay. Anyway, Nikki, what did you think? Were you able to hear the sister, Dr. Julia here? Were you able to hear some of her?
Yes. Yes. And I have heard.
What did you think of her before? Go ahead. What did you think about what she was saying?
Yeah, well, I like it. I like it. I think she was pretty accurate with her descriptions, with her acronyms for the letters and things of that nature. And I think that was a Tavis Smiley town hall or something like that. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that Dick Gregory was on there as well. If I'm not mistaken. If that's the same one. But yeah. So I think she was right on. And especially about the school, the link she did to the school, and she broke it down to how no one is scared of the children right now. And she started with the that nobody is pretty much different to anyone. But we come back to the myth of the black woman, that the black woman is a destruction of the family. And so, or the black woman is destroying the black man. But how can that be? How can that be when we have so many other outside influences that are actually inside of our homes at this point? We're being forced to do certain things, like you said at the beginning. We're being forced to take certain medicines. We're being forced to even go to these schools. We're being forced because if you don't send your child to that school that she was actually said that no one has any accountability and no one's scared of anyone, and all the adults are scared except for the children, then there's something wrong with that picture. But if you take your children out of those schools, then there's a problem. So the parent, the mother, the black woman is in a bind at this point. And I think that's where she was kind of leaning towards, that we're in a bind. Right. If you lean either way, there's going to be a problem.
Exactly. And Psycho, did you wanna say anything on it either? Or two? I'm sorry.
Well, I heard her mention Jimmy Carter, so this had to have been like the mid to late 70s when this happened, because it sounded like she was talking when he was still in administration. But yeah, I definitely.
No, this was like in the 90s. This was like in the early 2000s. It was an event Tavis Smiley put on. So
okay.
It was in more recent times. Yeah.
Okay. No, I mentioned.
I think she just did like a time. I think she just did like a timeline.
Okay, my mistake. Okay. Yeah, but I definitely don't agree that the black woman or the black man is responsible for the demise of the black family. We are all victims under white supremacy and the systematic oppression that's been laid upon us. So, we it's real easy for us to look at each other as far as male and females and point the finger at each other as far as what our problems are, and kind of just like that's easy, that's low hanging fruit, but it's a bigger tree there. White supremacy is a tree, and we got to focus on knocking this tree down. We can't be focusing on these little low branches that's right there. That's low hanging fruit. So but that's what the system's built for us to do. It's built for us to look at each other and not, they're going to piss on us and try to tell us it's raining. That's part of the Willie Lynch letter prophecy coming true. So, we all got to be careful about this. So, yeah, I definitely agree that no, the woman is not responsible, nor is the man. White supremacy is responsible.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to get into this tonight because I know some people out there hearing that they blood is boiling. What? How you not gonna blood? Look, okay, we're gonna get into all this tonight because I want to talk about the Moynihan report. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into feminism itself. We're gonna get into blame. Where is all the blame going, and why is there so much blame on Black women? Did Black women joining the feminist movement break up the Black family? Did Black women throw Black men out the house for government benefits? We're going to get into all of this. These are questions, that I pose on the flyer because these are common arguments I've heard from this sector of males, and everything, they find any and everything to blame Black women about. But before I do that, let me, because we're kind of going to do it like open mic style too, so I'm going to have some lines open. Tonight, family, again, let's be respectful. Let's speak one at a time. And let me get, I think this brother Equanese. And then I got 323, and then I got 708. All right, peace. What's up, brother Equanese? How are you?
Sis. Peace, Sister Renee. Peace, family. Sister Nikki, Brother Psycho, all of us.
Peace, brother.
Peace,
yes.
Family. I definitely agree with everything you guys have been saying, but I'm going to go a step further, even when we are saying, like the brother was just saying about responsibility, because even in the mind, it kind of puts me in this mind, we're out on the battlefield, and, there's a sniper, or we're being sniped, and even though that sniper is the one, we've identified that is the one where the danger is coming from. It is up to us. It is going to be our responsibility as a people, as man and woman, because even when we look at the blame, the passing the blame, everybody's fucked up. You understand? It's kind of like the person that is on fire, and when they're on fire, they're going crazy. They're knocking all kind of shit down. This is what you're going to do when you're in distressing times. You understand? So therefore, a lot of us, have been, we've been affected by this European, by this beast, by white supremacy. So we wind up, when they say hurt people, we have our women that do that. We have our brothers. I think us being honest and clear on being, and that goes with being responsible, because we have to stand up and own our shit and say, well, hey man, I've been doing too much of this. So I've been, us as individuals, because right now it is in our house. In this cracker, we ain't nobody gonna come and do for us. So there's nobody that's coming to fix this except for us. We want, us begging to a system that ain't never gave a damn about us. That would never work. Us waiting on a religious, mythological character to come and fix everything, that would never work. So we're going to have to get your workout on, start eating right, start getting your intelligence right, and we're going to have to start implementing these things, the world that we're wanting to see. Guess what? We got to get out there and build it. You know what I'm saying? That goes for each one of us. There's power in numbers, and if there's only a couple of us out there that's building, that's telling you we're gonna have minimal manifestation. But the more of us that get on board, we find ourselves loving each other, procreating in that manner, then that is our responsibility, and we're gonna see the effects of that. That.
Absolutely. All right, let me get 323. Peace. What's your name? Oh, I think I know. What's up, 323? 323. All right. 708. Peace. 323.
Peace. This is 708. My name is Brother Consul.
Okay, go ahead. Hey, Consul.
Peace and Black Power.
Yeah, I think I know. I think 323 is 323. I think that's Mandela Con. So, yeah. But anyway, peace. What's up, Consul?
Oh man, everything's wonderful, man. Peace to everybody. I saw the title, and I just did a workshop on this. Yep, I just did a workshop on this. the dynamic, psychological dynamic of feminism. So it was, this is a really good topic. And I want to get clarity before I put my 2 cents in, so I know that I'm understanding the topic. Because if you would have just put feminism, it's entirely different than black feminism. Well, it's polarized, but when you say feminism, are you saying black feminism, or are you generalizing feminism?
Wait, hold on real quick, Hey, family. Hey, people who on the line, if you have any, because I'm opening a couple more lines. If you have any background noise or whatever, or just for the time being until I come to you, it's time to speak, or you want to say something, please just mute your lines until then. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Consul.
Yeah, because I love shows. A lot of times, we both got platforms. I don't have time to get involved, so I love that you always got something that's thought-provoking. And are you saying feminism regulated to black women? Is it the same feminism as the general term? Or are we talking a specific person? Black feminism is already classified as far as psychological.
Well, more so in this, I'm speaking kind of directly to black feminism, because the argument, like, for me doing this show, some of the argument I've heard from this sector of people is that black women joined the feminist movement, and that's what destroyed the family, and black women bought into feminism, and that's what destroyed the black family. So it's more so targeted to black feminism.
Okay. All right. I think.
All right. Cool.
Okay. With black feminism, it kind of starts. Black feminism is kind of an offshoot, of course, of standardized European feminism. Actually, it's a book that I got by Mary Ann Weathers. So it's called An Argument to Black Women's Liberation as a Revolutionary Force. And that was written in 1969. And that kind of started this black feminist movement. But then you had, it never was clear. Like, you have people like Angela Davis and women like that never did make the situation any better, because Angela Davis was defying white women in the struggle. So it's just ambiguous in the original methods. So based on black feminism, I think that is a contradiction, because the black man has never been in power for the black woman to feel as if he's not sharing his power with her. So black feminism cannot possibly ever have existed under white supremacy. It would be different if the black man had equal power as the white man, and he willfully subjected his black woman to be in the second class. Never treated her equal. But the black man never owned nothing, and never was a peer to his counterpart. So black feminism is a psychological construct that creates deconstructive thought subliminally. Because how can a black woman be a feminist if her black man never owned nothing? So he never put her in an oppressive state, because they both are being equally oppressed under white supremacy. So black feminism is a illogical fallacy that affects black men, because they psychologically trying to substantiate themselves to a white man. And what that does is that black man ignorantly hates his black woman. She's not acting as a feminist. She's acting as an oppressed victim under white supremacy. Right. So she's in the same struggle as that black man. And so the black man and the black woman should employ counterintelligence, because we have war with these people. So we are counterparts. Even when we get married under a white supremacist construct. So we still prisoners, so we got to operate under COINTELPRO. So we two equals, and we two prisoners of war. So I can't look at my black woman and say that she's a feminist and she's cause of my oppression and she's sharing the same oppression. So this, to me, I think this message speaks out to the black man that we need to wake up, because we under that false mentality, that false dichotomy that the black woman is a threat, and she's not. That's not. That's not right. But I just wanted to say that because I know you got a lot of calls. So I just wanted to. But good show, Renee.
Thank you. Can you give us that book again, brother? Can you give me that book again, brother? The book you said again?
Oh yeah, it's an argument for black women's liberation as a revolutionary force, and that's authored by Mary Ann Weathers. It was published in 1969, and it's actually in a magazine. It was a feminist magazine called Cell 16, radical feminist magazine. It's called Cell 16. The number 16. But it used to be a feminist magazine that would come out all the time. And it was producing a lot of confused black women because they were tagging on to these white women and begging these white women to support them just because they were female. But what would happen is the white women would leave them hanging. Like Angela Davis spent her whole career. And now black women are coming up missing like in D.C. and all this. And these feminist white women ain't doing nothing. You don't hear nothing.
Not a damn thing. Nope.
So that's been going on. It really gives bad effect to us black men and how we view our black queens, because we look at it like, I'm tired of her attitude. A black woman got to be an alpha woman in this American society. Maybe in other cultures, and to a small degree, a woman can be docile, but she's not. That don't mean she's not submissive to her man. Her nature means that she has to fight just as much as her counterpart, because we under stress and oppression. Dr. Welcome talks about that. Joy DeGruy talks about that extensively, that we are under so much stress that we are involuntarily doing things due to white supremacy, that we got habitual issues of neurotic and psychotic things that we are not being held accountable for as counterparts. Because psychologically, as a man, I'm looking at my woman as an oppressor. That's not her fault. If she's got to fight just as equal as you're going to have a strong black woman that may check you a little bit. If you're an oppressed black man and you know you ain't got no power to begin with, then you need to respect your woman for being a little tough, because you're going to need that. You can't do it by yourself. If you got the shotgun, you better hope your woman got one, because you're not going to do it by yourself. Not an oppressed black person or a white person. You're not going to do it. You don't have the means. So that's why I say this is real powerful. This is real deep, because it got the feminist thing in there, but this is really all about the black men. Because a black woman gets labeled a black feminist, you notice, by only black men. They don't get labeled a feminist by other nationalities, because they don't care about your black man. Ain't no white woman gonna call you a feminist, because they don't call you equal to them. Why would a white woman? That's right. That's my sister. You a feminist. You should be a feminist. Your black man treats you so wrong. No, your black man is a dog to a white woman. Your black man ain't nothing but somebody she can breathe with. That's it. She don't look at that black man as an equal. She don't do that. And if she do, it's going to be an elite black man. It's not going to be the average black man. It's going to be a lawyer, doctor, basketball player, somebody influential that's going to carry on her bloodline with money. But it ain't going to be a person that's active in the black power movement. It's not going to be that. So these black men, man, I hope the black men that's even listening understand that don't put your black woman in a box like that. She's a lioness, so she gonna fight. If you were powerful and you was a black man, yeah, she'll be at the crib, she'll be docile, she'll be more feminine like, she'll take on all that stuff. But she can't afford to do that because she gotta protect you. Because a black man come home with kids. A white man don't. He stole it. He don't come home crying. A black man do. A black woman take that shit in. She the one, like all the powerful black men, they women that support them, they reach his state, and they never rat them out. They always support the black man, even in their weakness. You notice all the big figures of black men that were exposed for their infidelity. Them black women stayed by their man's side. Yeah, Jesse Jackson, them black women stood by their side. Because that's y'all nation. Through thick and thin. So, knowing that, she takes in a lot of the issues that the black man goes through when he's trying to be the protector that he naturally is as a male. He's trying to do that. So when we try to erroneously label a black woman as a feminist, we are committing an atrocity against our race. You can't do that, and you got to recondition yourself to get out of that European mind, because she is no way possible she can be a feminist. She is not equal to no white woman under white supremacy.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's impossible.
Okay, let me do this.
I love this story, Renee. I love it.
Thank you. And Consul, you came through just dropping that fire. Like, thank you. I appreciate you so much for bringing that information to the table, which I think is very important, because, like, if I said some of the things you just said, I would be considered a feminist. And I am considered a feminist by some. And what it is that's happening now, and I see this, inside the conscious community, and I just experienced this again just last night. And sometimes having conversations, Constance, you were there, but sometimes having conversations with some black males in this construct of the conscious community, and in general, to this idea of who are you? Who are you to be a black woman and be outspoken and be intellectual and be educated and be able to bring information to the table? You're trying to outdo me. You're trying to outshine the men. We're like, whoa, what's going on here? And so I've run into this numerous times, and the personalities are all the same. The different males, and it's always just one or two, in a conversation. It's always just one or two in a conversation that this happens with. But it's something that now I just automatically anticipate. And what saddens me is that we have, like Constance was talking about, we have taken on white supremacist ideals so much that we don't even realize when we're acting them out. So, for instance, the white man has the belief that his woman is beneath him. We don't come from, in general, in many African societies, we know most of us are from West Africa in one capacity or the other. But you see more of a sense of balance, right? People always talk about mayach. And you talk about having a role for women and a role for men, and that neither is beneath the other one. Neither is above the other one. That we're both bringing something that is valuable to the situation to increase our productiveness together, to increase the health and wealth of our community. So in this society, though, that's not the reality. This is why, this was in the last however many decades, white women have begun to be more in the workforce. The white woman was the domestic. She was to stay home and take care of the children. If her man had a job where he made a lot of money, cool, they dealt with that. If her man had a job where he made a little money, then they dealt with that. But whatever the case, it was still on the man as far as the income, and on the woman as far as the home. But see, in that paradigm, what they don't tell you about is how abusive the white man has been to his woman over all these years. Them women weren't getting out there doing this damn suffrage and all this stuff. First of all, they did it because they were pissed off that black men got to vote before they did. And that shows you. See, you know damn well the white man can't stand, excuse my French, but how they, a nigga. They can't stand, and I'm not calling black people that, but this is how they think. They can't stand black folks. But that white man is so wicked, is so hateful of women because he's so homosexual by nature, that he will put a black man to vote who's the same people who he considered to be less than human beings, like cattle or livestock. Excuse me. Hold on, let me mute this line. And that is Mandela Khan. He And family, we gonna get it in, y'all. There's a lot of people on the line, so let me make this quick. I already know we're definitely gonna go into overtime tonight, y'all. So family, you can go on YouTube and chat right now about the show and everything. We're streaming on there as well. You can go to SYKOPATHeist page on YouTube, SYKOPATHEIST. You can go to his page and you can chat over there. Now, let me just say this real quick, and then I wanna start this off by putting it in a historical framework to start with this feminist thing. Now, the white man is so wicked, like I said, that even his own woman, he said, these people over here, these men over here, who I could buck break, who I could rape, who I could molest, who I could beat, who I could string up in a tree and lynch them, who I could cut off their penis and put it in pickles, or all of this stuff he can do. But we're going to go ahead and give y'all the right to vote before we give these damn women over here the right to vote. So this is what the white woman has dealt with. And sadly, some of our brothers have begun to think in that same way. Understand that what the caveman did is, the caveman will bash his woman in the head and drag her back to his lair, drag her back to his cave, okay? These are the type of people, this is what they come from. And it said that when you tell some brothers that they still can't really understand, they still can't wrap their mind around it, because they're going by these constructs that the white man has put in place in the first damn place. So we got to get back to the idea of balance and understanding the masculine and feminine principle. That's the problem. We're completely out of whack with everything. So like Kansu said, a black woman can't be a damn feminist. I don't understand it. That's an oxymoron. How is it possible? You can't get to nothing about your damn gender dealing with this system before you deal with your blackness, when you're dealing with them. And so for some reason, I've heard a lot of brothers who, and again, I'm just speaking about a segment of these brothers specifically I'm talking about, who give this stuff, the black woman has an easier time after white supremacy, the black woman, she gets to his job, she gets to get this. And to me, I feel like that's such a weak mind state to come from. So to me, when I hear people say that, to me what you're saying is you don't want to destroy white supremacy, you want a more comfortable place in it, and you think the black woman has a more comfortable place in it, so you're just going to attack her. So instead of destroying the system, I'm just going to attack who I think has a better place in the system, knowing damn well the black woman is subjected to the same things that the black man is subjected to. Now, it's increased with brothers, absolutely. It's increased with black men. But you also have to understand that leaves the door open for black women to be unprotected by our men. And this is why you see a lot of the things, this is why you can see all of the girls who have been abducted, you can see a lot of the other situations that have happened because of that. So all of these things play a role together. But I want to give this real quick framework to start the conversation, and I'm going to move down up on mine. Again, family, when I come to y'all, please, if you're going to be on the panel, make sure you mute your phone so we can keep down a lot of back and everything. Let me play this real quick. I think it's like 3 or 4 minutes. And this is this white heifer. All right, and this goes to show you, I want to play this for a really important reason. Because it goes to show you how much these people have taken from us. Even when it comes to this damn feminism stuff, when it comes to black women, this shows how much they have taken. So I'm going to play this. It's really brief. And it's actually 2 parts. The first part is talking about, it's called First Wave Feminism Without White Women. Okay, this is what the name of this is called. And let's see here. Let me pull it up. Then they have the second wave. And, okay, so I'm going to play this. And then we'll come back and discuss. And then I'm going to play the second one. And this is 4 minutes and some seconds long. In 1876, feminist triple threat Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and Matilda Jocelyn Gage got together and started writing The History of American Suffrage. Okay, I know this is supposed to be a history of feminism without white ladies, but listen, once they finally finished that 1,500-page tome, only one woman of color was name-checked. Sojourner Truth. You're probably thinking, duh, feminism is for white ladies, blah, blah, blah. But what a lot of us don't understand is how likely none of this suffrage and women's liberation would have happened at all had it not been for women of color. The first wave of feminism officially takes place between 1848 Seneca Falls Convention and the 1920 ratification of the 19th Amendment. But long before the Declaration of Sentiments was ever written, the abolition movement is mobilizing women publicly like never before. In 1830, abolitionist newspaper publisher, political writer, and educator Mariah Stewart became the first woman to ever speak publicly in front of a promiscuous or mixed gender crowd. And topics, the need for both racial and gender equality. 19th century intersectionality, y'all. Oh, and the first dude to ever speak publicly on behalf of women's rights, Frederick Most Regal Hair Ever, Douglas. And in 1837, the Anti-Slavery Convention of American Women was the first time ladies collectively began agitating for the end of slavery as well as the beginning of women's rights, particularly for black women. And this was no small feat considering how Pennsylvania Hall, where the convention was held, was subsequently burned to the ground. In other words, once feminism's first wave officially began, women of color had long been serving the equality tide in their own communities because there was simply no time to lose. The 1850 passage of the Fugitive Slave Act allowed both escaped and freed slaves to be arrested without questioning and returned to slave owners. And that directly endangered the lives of people like Frances E.W. Harper, who not only was the first black woman to publish a short story in 1859, but also used her prominent platform to champion abolition as well as suffrage. And though first-wave feminism is best known for winning women the vote, the movement didn't stop there. They were also out to win property, economic, and trade rights legally denied to married women. And for women of color during the Civil War and Reconstruction eras, employment opportunities, educational access, and protection from racist acts of violence were at stake as well. But when the 15th Amendment ratified in 1870, granting black men the vote, the suffrage movement split into two factions in support of and opposition to black male enfranchisement, straining that ideological bridge that women of color had built between gender and race-based discrimination. Nevertheless, their activism and community organizing only grew in word and deed. For instance, Josephine St. Pierre St. Ruffin, aka Tuesday, founded the Woman's Era, which was the first newspaper written by and for African-American women in 1888. In that divided social climate in 1892, scholar and teacher Anna Julia Cooper published A Voice from the South, which is considered a foundational text of black feminism today. The Black Women's Club movement was also instrumental in women of color campaigning for rights and representation, as well as fostering uplift and education in their own communities. And it was through these clubs that badass journalists and suffragist Ida B. Wells spread her impassioned anti-lynching speech, helping found even more clubs around the country along the way. And in 1896, Wells, Tuesday, along with Frances E.W. Harper and Harriet Tubman, yes, that Harriet Tubman and others, got together and formed the National Association of Colored Women, which was an organizing body to promote racial equality and suffrage across the club. A daughter of former slaves who grew up amid Jim Crow era prejudice, Mary Church Terrell served as the NACW's first president, and in that role, she continually emphasized to their white suffragist counterparts the dual sexual and racial barriers women of color face, especially considering how prominent leaders like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton weren't exactly woke to it. A white woman has only one handicap to overcome, a great one true. Her sex. A colored woman faces two, her sex and her race. Even behind the scenes of the 1930 Women's Suffrage Parade in D.C., where this iconic photo was taken, segregation was alive and not so well, with organizers requesting Ida B. Wells and her Alpha Suffrage Club contingent effectively moved to the back of the bus and marched separately from the white ladies. But Wells, per usual, was having none of it and marched at the front of the parade anyhow. Finally, the 19th Amendment was ratified in 1920, at long last granting suffrage, but women of color weren't in the clear. Almost immediately, southern states in particular began passing legislation to disenfranchise black voters, a discriminatory turn of events that, along with segregation and persistent race-based violence, would eventually pave the way for second-wave feminism. Cliffhanger.
All right. So you had this silly little white heifer
who did that. And then, again, this is called First Wave Feminism Without White Women. But what you hear there, and I want to play the second part, which is about the same length, where they bring it a little bit closer into the time that we're talking about. But with that, I wanted to put it in a historical perspective that if we look at feminism as relates to Black women, that Black women ultimately for the cause of the race. You even look at people like Ida B. Wells, who her main platform was an anti-lynching platform. And the lynching was predominantly done to Black men. And that's what she stood on. So it was not in a way to be divisive of the Black man and Black women, but it was for the Black woman to have some level of asserting herself in the fight for the liberation of our people. When you talk about the national, what is the National Association of Negro Women? I got it wrong. But anyway, when you talk about something like that, and Harriet Tubman was a part of that as well. And a lot of people, of course, talk about Harriet Tubman and all that she did as a woman. She was like, hell no, we're not taking this. We're going to come up with something that we're going to get people up out of here. So, it was never in a midst to go against the Black man. It was to, in fact, say this is just what we're going to do to contribute to liberating us from these people or liberating us from this condition. So that has to be established first, because the first thing a lot of people say now is that feminism is just to go against the men, especially within the Black community, is to go against the Black man and all this kind of stuff. And it was not intended to be that. That was the goal. Okay, I'm gonna play this one, and then this brings it a little bit closer to let me find it. This brings it a little bit closer to the time period, and then we'll go from there. Family, we have 54 minutes left in the live stream before we go into overtime. If you're on the phone lines, you press 1 and type with me, please. And I will get to you. I promise I will get to you. I just want to get some of this out of the way. Let me see here. So we're on a level playing field with this thing. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna play this one. Yeah, it's the same amount of time as the first one. And like I said, this brings it closer. Now, this begins to talk about the 60s and what happened. And this is the crucial time where you hear a lot of these dudes who go into this thing about Black women left the Black power movement for feminism and all these lies. So we want to get the lies straight. So with the truth. So here we go. After this, we'll come back and we'll go from there.
Second Waveism took place roughly between the famous 1968 Miss America pageant protest and the early 1980s. But long before the myth of bra burning on the Atlantic City boardwalk was born, African American women were awakening to the civil rights movement, which would eventually inspire second wave feminism. In 1944, Rosa Parks was busy with the NAACP, investigating and initiating community campaigns to protest the systematic rape of Black women by white men in the Jim Crow South. That was 11 years before she would refuse to move to the back of that Montgomery, Alabama bus, not because she was tired, but because she was specially trained to start a revolution. When progressive college students began dedicating themselves to civil rights, Ella Baker helped the iconic Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee get on its feet in 1960. An activist since her own college days, Baker impressed upon the major civil rights organizations a model of participatory democracy, whose hallmark grassroots organizing, decentralized leadership, and consciousness raising. Female Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee members would then take with them to the nascent second wave, along with the Ella Baker ethos that would become a motto of the movement, personal, political. And Ella B also rocked some major shades. Even more major was 1964, with the passage of the Civil Rights Act and the testimony of Fannie Lou Hamer before the Democratic National Convention. In her historic speech, Hamer linked the importance of voting rights and reproductive rights for Black women in her home state of Mississippi, where many, including herself, were forcibly sterilized. And the state legislature at that time was trying to legalize sterilization in exchange for welfare benefits. But this wasn't just an issue in Mississippi. Since the turn of the century, thousands of women of color across the United States underwent tubal ligation without prior consent. That same year, activist, lawyer, and all-around badass Polly Murray coined the term Jane Crow, which encompassed the dual prejudice women of color face and became the legal framework to challenge the not-so-equal Employment Opportunity Commission's 1965 determination that sex discrimination in the workplace is A-okay. Around that time, Murray had another great idea, thinking, what if there was an NAACP-type organization that advocated specifically for women? She mentioned this to Betty Friedan, and in 1966, the National Organization for Women was born. The raddest Polly Murray fact of all, she's an Episcopal saint. That's our often whitewashed memory of second-wave feminism reiterates. Few women of color felt at home among the largely white, middle-class National Organization for Women membership. So in the late 1960s and early 1970s, they began forming their own organizations, such as the Chicana y Hasequema Asian Sisters and the Third World Women's Alliance. Unlike many white-led feminist organizations at the time, multiculturalism and socioeconomic diversity were integral to their grassroots organizing, focusing on shared injustices and issues such as sterilization, infant mortality, housing and welfare rights, low-wage work, drug addiction, and negative portrayals in the media. Meanwhile, feminism was making inroads all the way to Washington. Lawyer turned activist Flo Kennedy and her signature cowboy hat positioned feminism as not just a thought exercise, but a bona fide political movement by establishing the Feminist Party in 1971. The following year, with its support, America's first Black Congresswoman, Shirley Chisholm, became America's first Black presidential candidate on a major party ticket. Like the old Flo is also known for dropping zingers in her day, including one of her most famous, if men could get pregnant, abortion would be a sacrament. Hi-oh! And speaking of abortion, the 1973 Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision raises important distinctions of how many Black women interpreted reproductive freedom, while white feminists saw it as a chance to decentralize motherhood and domesticity in women's lives. Women of color historically had to fight for the very right to bear and raise their own children, with family culturally functioning as welcome safe havens. For that reason, housing and rape crisis advocates since the 1970s, Loretta Ross, developed a more inclusive concept of reproductive justice. Black feminist thought, criticism, and writing also flourished during the 1970s and early 80s from the likes of Bell Hooks, Audre Lorde, Toni Morrison, Angela Davis, and so many others. When second wave feminism came to a close, Alice Walker ushered womanism into our intersectional lexicon in 1983 to specifically describe feminists of color. Or as Walker put it, womanist is to feminist as purple is to lavender.
Yeah, again, they want to whitewash a lot of things and inject a lot of things. And I'm not with Alice Walker and a lot of those people. A lot of those later, some of those later people were just basically pushing lesbianism. And what you see a lot now within this Black feminist movement now is that a lot of lesbianism or a lot of swirling. So I will say that there are definitely some factions of people today where it's anti-Black men. That's why, people always try to call me a feminist. I'm like, how? What are my feminist ideals? They can never tell me. But they equate a Black, an outspoken Black woman as being and they don't even look at any of your principles that you believe in. I believe in the Black man and Black woman together. I believe in balance. I believe in the Black family. That's what I believe in. I believe in love. That's what I uphold. I'm not upholding anything else. But I'm going to say this real quick, and I'm going to pass the mic. Notice, though, okay? Notice. And when the white heifer was talking early on, and she was saying about the reproductive rights, okay? See, this is how they run games. Okay, and this is how they always switch things up and try to put a Black face on something negative. Now, with the whole reproductive rights, in this day and time, what people immediately think about is abortion. Okay? However, the reproductive rights, they were basically talking blacks were being systematically sterilized. Black women, they were saying things like they would give them certain benefits. Say if you already had a child or a couple of children or whatever, if you would get sterilized, they would give you more money. They would give you more benefits. They would do certain things. So black women were fighting back against that. Also, black women who may have been incarcerated or what have you, they were doing sterilization. It's so many stories of these women who were, for whatever reason, they ended up in jail or something happened, whatever. And while they're in there, they tell them, oh, you're going to have a procedure, or we're going to check you out or whatever. And these women ended up sterilized. They didn't even know what happened. So this is the real thing, and this has gone on up until, probably a few years ago. I think it was the state of Michigan. It was so many cases in North Carolina where this was still happening, yes, in modern times to black women, where they were sterilizing them if they incarcerated, and we're not even telling these women. So this is the real thing. But what they've done is they've switched that out and try to make the reproductive rights about abortion. When for black women, it was just about them. The main thing was them forcibly sterilizing black women so that they could no longer have any more children. And there was one lady, and I mean, I shed tears on her. She was talking about it. She had one son, and they told her, like I said, that she was going for something else or whatever. And she went in, and she sterilized. She couldn't have any more children after that with her husband. That was it. And so they did things like this to black women. So it's important that we talk about why black women were pushing for reproductive rights. So all these people who think this is based off of black women wanting all these abortions, because people always throw the abortion numbers out there with black women, but they never give a context. They never give the truth about all of the things that have happened to help set up these scenarios in our community. So we're going to tell the truth, tell the story, tell the whole story. But anybody want to say anything before I move back into the phone lines and also get into the Black Woman Manifesto? Just we can be concise with it. Go ahead and
I just want to say this, like what Brother Consul was saying, we had definitely suffered a blow, and like you said, a lot of movements are basically trying to lie themselves with the revolutionary Black women's movement. And it is very important that while we are moving forward, that we understand the importance of one thing, minus the separation, is the importance of family. The dependency and need of each other. That me as a man, I always know I would need my woman. Where my woman, she always knows she would need her man. And even as you, you may speak strongly for the women, but, I definitely can support you and your ideas, because you definitely stand beside the importance and also the infractions that have been done and placed upon us as a black people. So it's just from growing up we're gonna have to do that. Men, I think a lot of times, Sister Renee, a lot of men probably in their weak and battered spirits, because you have a lot of women that have more of a stronger spirit to go out there and do things than men. And I think all it is that a lot of times they get intimidated. Our men, we get intimidated when a woman is stronger. Now, sometimes a woman can go, so strong when she's Europeanated and strong, and like, well, I gotta have $1 million. And, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the women in your case. If you are pushing for and urging the importance of structuring our family, man. So I can definitely stand beside your views, and this is an important conversation.
Thank you, Connie. I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, I definitely think that. Oh shoot, that happened, brother. On 708. I'm so sorry, brother. Pete, what's your name and where you calling from? I apologize. I forgot I opened your. I didn't go back to you. 708.
Yes, I'm here.
You just talking, your line's muted.
Yeah, I'm here. That's okay.
Hey.
It's
Kasu, I'm tripping. I'm going in circles. Never mind, Kasu. No, not that you can't say anything, but I was in and out of my phone lines. Actually, hold on. I'm sorry. Let me get this line. I apologize, guys. 857 Peace. What's your name? Where you calling from? 857. If you're speaking, your line's muted. 857-261. Okay, well, your line is open. All right, now let me read this, and then I want to go back around, and I want to get Psycho and Nikki, our co-host, in on this, and what y'all think about this, and everybody else who's on as well. But this is the introduction to the Black Woman. Is it Black Female or Black Woman's Manifesto? I want to say this was from the 1970s, actually 1970s. And Sister Imona Israel says to me, and she was talking about it on Tuesday. But this is what it says in the introduction, and it's a whole pamphlet. Of course, I'm not going to read the pamphlet, but I'm just reading the introduction. It says, racism and capitalism have trampled the potential of Black people in this country and thwarted their self-determination. Initially, the physical characteristics of those of African descent were used to fit Blacks to the lowest niche of the capitalist hierarchy, that of maintenance. Therefore, Black women and men of today must not encourage division by extending physical characteristics to serve as a criterion for a sexual hierarchy. If the potential of the Black woman is seen mainly as a supportive role for the Black man, then the Black woman becomes an object to be utilized by another human being. Her potential stagnates, and she cannot begin to think in terms of self-determination for herself and all Black people. It is not right that her existence should be validated only by the existence of the Black man. The Black woman is demanding a new set of female definitions and a recognition of herself as a citizen, companion, and confidant, not a matriarchal villain or a step-stool baby maker. Role integration advocates the complementary recognition of man and woman, not the competitive recognition of the same. Wow. Role integration encourages a broader mental and emotional growth in Black women and men as they share the responsibility of working towards liberation. Neither of them should be relegated to a narrow experience of life. Neither of them should have their potentiality for self-determination controlled and predetermined by the opposite sex. That is a type of slavery that will not deliver us as a people. That is a form of bondage, which is an integral part of the racist and capitalist system, which Black women and men must work to oppose and overthrow. Thoughts on that? Thoughts
Nikki?
on that?
Oh, I thought Nikki was gonna go first. Is Nikki there?
Oh, either one of y'all. Nikki, I'm here. You can go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, yeah. All right, want to go ahead?
Hello?
Yes, You want to go ahead, Psycho?
Oh, I thought Nikki was going. Nikki's not going?
She said, no, I was saying you go ahead.
Oh, I don't have a whole lot to add to that, really. I was over here doing a couple things. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I add in?
All right.
Real quickly?
Yeah, go ahead, Equani.
I was just
and then 314, I'm opening your mic. I'm coming to you in just a second. Go ahead, Equani.
And I was just thinking, they're talking about it and trying to, what it sounds like what they were trying to do is, incorporate our women into thinking that this is a one-sided thing. It's not a one-sided thing for us as a Black people, and we see that even inside a lot of excitement a lot of our Black women had were going up to, I think, the international march that we had a conversation talking about that they had at the beginning of this year. It wasn't that this year, up in DC?
Yeah.
Okay. Now they had bars And that was D, right? Family?
Right.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right. It was in DC, and the state has the issue where our black girls and brown girls are going missing there in that same place, and then those people they're showing you how they only utilize our efforts and our energy to basically drain so we can fuel their movement. They're not concerned with about who we are. I feel like it is important for women to have their society, but understanding what their role is within the family. Not anything outside of the family. You understand? Even if a person cannot procreate and is basically sterile, I think we still should understand our appropriate roles inside the family because, that's and I think even things
so
like
let me ask you this real quick. So then let me ask you this real quick. So would you say you're not feeling that introduction I read?
With just now, the one just now.
And it's not.
Well, I ran from it. It was saying, the part that stuck out to me when it was talking about women basically, separating themselves from the family movement or the movement of men. And all the times inside our movements, our women have been our backbone. So we can't separate the movement. You think when we were marching or Martin Luther King was marching, those brothers, they weren't just doing that for men. You understand? They were doing that for us. And I think at the end of the day, that like we can say women's rights for all, but hell, we don't recall the pictures of hanging white women in America. I never saw it. I never saw a hanging Mexican woman in America. So I can't kind of, parallel plenty of pictures of black women. You understand? We had the case of where 6 black women got killed in a jail. They died mysteriously while in police custody. This is a problem, not for all women, because I don't hear it going on specifically for our black family. And even with that, it's not only up to the sisters to go out and fight that fight. It's up to all of us. When the sister got put in a chokehold or whatever up here in because there is power numbers, and that's what we have to be, on. And so that's what I kind of understood inside, a portion of what you were saying. That kind of stuck out the most to me, Renee.
Let me read this part again, and then 3-1. So I want you to tell me your thoughts on this. Oh, okay, and Nikki, and let me read this part real quick again. It says, of the black woman is seen mainly as a supportive role for the black man. Then the black woman becomes an object to be utilized by another human being. Her potential stagnates, and she cannot begin to think in terms of self-determination for herself and all black people. It is not right that her existence should be validated only by the existence of the black man. Ooh, okay. Can I say something?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Nikki, and then 314. I want to get your feedback.
Right, so this is just the introduction, and to me, that doesn't sound like a black woman speaking.
Right.
That doesn't sound like a black woman at all. That's what I'm trying. That's why I was like, wait a minute, what exactly is this trying to say? And then I know that at one point in time there was supposedly something written by a black woman, but it later on found out that it was really a white woman that had really written it. So I'm not sure exactly what that exactly was, but I haven't read this entire thing. It's online if anybody wants to download it, and it's 52 pages. It's I have not read all of it, but it says and it goes on saying the black woman is demanding a new set of female definitions and the recognition of herself as a citizen, and that never happened. Black women have never, to my knowledge, I have never heard of a black woman fighting for just herself. That is selfish. That has nothing to do with building a city
or building a community or being a protector of anything. So that kind of contradicts even the myths and the things that are being put out about us, period. Saying that we're strong Black women and we're destroying the family. So this is saying that we're going out for ourselves. So it seemed like a contradiction to me. And it says she's not a military. Okay, go ahead, sis. No, I was just saying, you got my perspective after 314. Because I see it a little bit differently. But 314 Peace, what's your name? Where you calling from? And what did you think about what I read from the manifesto?
Well, this is your Facebook friend, Jason philosophy.
Hey, peace, Jason.
Yeah, I'm calling from the East Coast, from Hartford, Connecticut. But no, it sounds like some feminist rhetoric to me, huh? No, so this article where you was reading, what is this?
This is the Black Woman's Manifesto that was written in 1970. I think it was written by several Black women. I'm not sure how many. Sister Mona.
I have to say about that's strange because
I'm gonna send you the link to it.
Right around the 1960s and 70s, where the sexual revolution and a lot of this feminist stuff started reaching its heights and all this type of stuff, and basically, when the drugs started going into Black American communities and all this type of stuff, and after Malcolm X died and all this type of stuff, happened. So, and I think they were saying, oh no, the Black woman doesn't need the Black man. That's what it said or something. What did it say? What actually said? We can't be viewed from something you said, huh? I don't remember exactly what you said.
I think it's not right for her. It's not right. Her existence should be validated only by the existence of the Black man.
So it should be validated, or it shouldn't be validated?
It shouldn't. It is. It shouldn't. It should not.
Oh well, I don't know. That seems kind of.
So basically, the Black woman being just like the support system. They're speaking in terms of no, the Black woman shouldn't be a support system. Not that she shouldn't be a support system, but she shouldn't be relegated to just that. Is what I hear from it. Is that she can be powerful within the movement, by herself. It says for herself and all Black people, and not just in the context of being the support system of Black men who are fighting on behalf of liberation.
Oh, it sounds kind of confusing to me because there's no, because the thing is, it doesn't seem like it seems westernized because in African culture is basically it's it's complementary. It's never just one I'm just all male. This is just for the dude, and basically. And so it takes two to have a kid. It takes African people are family orientated. So they're not. They're family orientated. If you ever talk to women who are they're not from America, or people who are from the motherland and stuff like that, they have a different mentality than take a place take any place in Africa, take Kenya or Ethiopia or something like that. These women don't. And I was thinking that because you've been influenced by this
ideology and all this stuff, and all this, it's radical feminism and all this type of stuff. So it's like we don't have the proper family structure to, and like the black family structure has been kind of like destroyed in a sense because but it started happening like in slavery, and basically where they've been working to destroy the black family. So and I think that it's in a sense that I think a lot of black women have been brainwashed by a lot of that feminist rhetoric and I'm a strong independent black woman and all this other type of stuff and and it's it's in a sense that and it's now you have all these single parent homes and all that type of stuff it's ridiculous, but the thing is if you look at African cultures in a sense you're not even considered in some traditional society you're not even considered an adult unless you're married and unless you're married or something like that, and especially when you have a kid and stuff when you have a kid and stuff a dude has to take responsibility. It's you're not just let's just get in the bed and just have a kid out of wedlock and all that type of stuff and just there's no structure. They have patches of we call it there's no rite of patches no rite of patches and stuff like that. So it's basically in a sense that and the thing is when you marry somebody you marry a part of the family. So it's it's in a sense it's not just you and this person live this lonely life and basically you marry into a community. You know what I'm saying? It's not just individualistic and you have what you call extended families. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just in a sense that so we've been westernized in this white man system and our way how we look at sexuality and stuff like that and all that type of stuff is all been distorted and the feminism movement was really for white women. It wasn't really for black women, stuff like that. Feminism movement and so I think that and it's saying we want rights, but all this stuff like this. But we look at it now. Okay, women have the basic rights, but now it's more about just it's gotten to a point right now. Just basically they want the woman to dominate the man and just do all this stuff. And the feminism rhetoric is just going way too far after you. So that's what I have to say. Huh?
Yeah. I do.
Let me say this. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me say this, and let me say this again. Please just have your line muted if you have any feedback, because I'm getting ready to open a couple more lines as I bring more people in, so everyone can be heard. Also, family, if you can, just try to please be as concise as possible. I might just start putting that only because I'm just looking at the phone line, so I just looked at them. So I might just put in 2 or 3 minutes at a time, so we can do it like that. Then we have 23 minutes left in the live stream before we go into the hour of overtime. So you have 23 minutes to call in if you are listening via Blog Talk, because then you will get cut off and not hear the last hour. The calling number is 319-527-6058, 319-527-6058. And if you do have a question or comment, then press 1. Okay, I want to read this before I go to those lines. I want to read a couple of more points in here real quick, and I think that will better illustrate something for some people, because my view on it was a little bit different. My view on it was kind of saying that the women that my view on it is there was some rhetoric in there, some feminist rhetoric, but I think the point about saying that black women can be big, I don't want to say big in the movement, but be an integral part of the movement without just being relegated to supporting the black man. So I feel like it should be both, you know, being that support system and also being able to, I don't know what this thing does it. Also being able to be a force to be reckoned with as well. But let me read this real quick. This is another point from in here. I thought, and then still the stereotypic image of matriarchy has made appeal to some black men who, in their frustration, may not see immediately the counter-revolutionary nature of such a battle cry. To allow the white oppressor to share the burden of his responsibilities with the black woman is madness. Again, to allow the white oppressor to share the burden of his responsibility with the black woman is madness. It is comparable to black people blaming Puerto Ricans for competing with them for jobs, thus relieving the government of the pressure they must have to fulfill its duty to provide full employment. Surely, after hundreds of years, black men realized that imprecision in detecting the enemy is an inexcusable fault in a revolutionary. But our problems only began with the reconstruction of the black family. As black men began to find dignified work after so many generations, what roles will their women see? Are black people to reject so many of white society's values only to accept the view of woman and of the family? At the moment when the white family is caught in a maze of neurotic contradictions and white women are supremely frustrated with their roles, are black women to take up such troubled models? Shall black women exchange their ancient insecurity for the white woman's familiar cocoon? Can it serve us any better than it has served them? And how will it serve black men? We who are black have a chance for something better. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. With black life, okay, here it is. With black life so clearly undermined in this American environment, blacks must remake the family unit, not imitate it. Indeed, this task is essential to black liberation. The black male will not be returned to his historic strength. The foremost task of the black struggle today. If we do not recreate the strong family unit that was a part of our African heritage before it was dismembered by the slave-owning classes in America, but it will be impossible to reconstruct the black family if its central characters are to be crate paper copies, acting out the old white family melodrama. In that selling production, the characters presented upon a course precisely opposite to ours. And it goes into more on, I'll read this last part here, I think. Okay. And it's basically talking about black men accepting, and black people in general, but accepting the whole patriarchy system, I guess the way white folks set it up. If we are to avoid this disaster, the best, perhaps the only place to begin is in our conception of the black woman. After all, the immediate tasks of the black man are laid out for him. It is the future role of the black woman that is problematical, and what she is allowed to become or relegated to will shape not simply her future, but that of the black family and the fate of its members. Okay, I'll finish that part. If she is forced into the current white model, she is doomed to the fate of the empty woman about whom this book has also written. The empty woman had to show with feathers, war combs, and polished blades. Something, cat. That's a poem. If she is so, she will be unfit for the wondrous responsibility she must meet. If the struggle for black freedom is to bring us out of the ancient bondage into a truly new and liberated condition. So it's basically saying that, we shouldn't be following the model of what white people set forth. We should be creating our own model for the black family. And within that the black woman has a role too. And again, it's not just relegated to being the support system. So it's a very interesting conversation to have. Let me bring in these couple of lines, and then I'm going to come back around to everybody. Let's see here. Let's see. All right. 313. Peace. What's your name? Where you calling from? And I'm also opening up 312 and 202. But I'll start with 313. Peace. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace, I'm on the soft code of Detroit. I'm calling from the Truth for Facebook Live Radio.
Peace. How you doing?
Same shit, different toilet family. You all right?
All right. What's your thoughts on this topic or anything you heard me read or?
Yeah, I thought the last passage was very interesting. Could you read that again? Not the one you just read, but the one before that about that had validation in it.
Okay. Hold on just a second. Remind me of some of the things that was in there so I can make sure I get the right one because I kind of skipped around.
The term that poked out was validation, not only through the black male, some
support system. Support system. I think he's talking about that.
Okay. Oh, okay. I got you. All right, let me go back up. Yeah, that's in the introduction, and it says, all right, it says, therefore, black women and men of today must not encourage division by extending physical characteristics to serve as a criterion for a sexual hierarchy. If the potential of the black woman is seen mainly as a supportive role for the black man, then the black woman becomes the object to be utilized by another human being. Her potential stagnates and she cannot begin to think in terms of self-determination for herself and all black people. It is not right that her existence should be validated only by the existence of the black man.
Right. So her existence should not only be validated by what they said, the black man, correct? Hello?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. I stepped away for a moment.
No worries. So, I'm trying to think of the context in which that's being said, validation only through the so-called black man. So she should be validated, or you all should be validated by who else?
Let's see. It is not right that her existence should be validated only by the existence of the black man. I don't know. I guess being validated just in general, but I think in terms of when you look at groups like Black Panthers, because like I said, this was written in 1970. So when you look at revolutionary groups like the Black Panthers or what have you, it was the black men who were in the forefront. However, in the clip, I probably won't get to play it because it's a lot of people. So, but it was a clip I was going to play actually from Psycho's page. I can check it out on Psycho's page, and it's from a documentary called Black Panther Woman. And the documentary is on, I think I got DirecTV. I think it's on. I don't think it's on Netflix, but I saw it on
Stars probably.
Cable or whatever before. And basically, that within that, it's talking about. It has a part where it's talking about how those black women, they were speaking to a white feminist, and they were basically saying that they were not going to forsake the Black Power movement to join the feminist movement. That their main thing was being black. However, the women were kind of playing a supportive role to the black men being the leadership in the Panthers. And in there, one of the Panthers talked about, I think it was Kathleen Keener, I think she was saying how the breakfast program, many of the other social programs that the Black Panthers had were actually put together and run by the women. So if that is the case, why are women having to be basically the support system and cannot also be valid, I guess it's the saying, in terms of being at the head of the movement as well?
At the head that's very interesting. I'm just, that.
Phone drop, family. Give me 1 second. I gotta get back on. Blog Talk, play me. 1 second. One second, family is coming.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, this is me on. Yay! Hey, sis, how you doing? I'm doing all right. Just listening in before I turn in. A good conversation. The caller is asking some questions. The PDF is available through my studies. I came across it. I didn't even know it existed. And for over the last month and a half, almost 2 months, we've been just going chapter by chapter and really breaking it down. It's something that, as Sister Renee is saying, it's written by 4 different essays. And what I was able to glean from it is that it's a response. They're responding to what is happening in the time. So if we're going to truthfully, just like anything, be to break down and really understand what they're talking about, we kind of have to go to the space that they were in and find out what's happening. They make a lot of references to the European women's feminist movement. They make a lot of references to what the Black Power movement is saying, and they're responding to them. And this is what they compile. I guess because at that phase, everyone was speaking for them, and now they wanted to take this opportunity to speak for themselves. And just like you, Sister Renee, I think this is important because now, in retrospect, we're saying a lot of things that they didn't say. You know, we're putting words in their mouth in retrospect. I don't agree with everything that they wrote in there at all because there's spaces in there where they go left field. But nonetheless, it's their words, and for hysterical value and for conversation's sake, it would behoove us all to go and read it, and then we can have a more informed conversation as to what they were driving at. And definitely for all of the essays so far, they were not down with what the European woman was meeting out at that time. And so, and also, like you just said, they weren't trying to leave the men. So this thought that all of a sudden, they wanted to leave the men for the European, every single essay said no. And one more thing, you did speak about the Moynihan report. This is responsive to what was put in the Moynihan report, which is available online as well as during this time. And Brother Hezekiah on YouTube, shout out to him. He don't know where he's digging these out the crates, but there was a whole lot of CBS specials that were coming out at this time, like the Single Black and the Matriarch. You got to go watch those so that you can put into context right now what you're reading in the 1970s. Like those, why would you, the women in the ghetto, the fatherless children, they were putting that all over the television in the middle 60s and going upwards. So with that said, I hope that brought a little bit of clarity to the conversation, and it's available so that you guys could go ahead and check it out. That's right. Thank you, Sister Mona, for that, because I agree 100%. I'm going to look and give y'all the name for that. I know exactly what you're talking about with those specials, and some people posted it up, a brother posted it up. Thank you so much for that, because they have some great specials that I think, like you said, CBS did back in the 60s, and it's talking about the plight then of the Black family and the single Black mother. We had to understand, because I want to get into that conversation, because something I consistently keep hearing is about, the single mom. And by the way, to the brother Offcoat, I'm going to put the link for the Black Women's Marriage in the Black Media Group. I'm going to put it in there. But the thing about it, I continue to hear the single mother. And the Moynihan report talks about that. So let me give y'all a little bit of information on the Moynihan report for people who may be unsure, and then I'll go to the next caller I have on the line. But the Moynihan report, basically, I'll give y'all a brief little thing on it, was done by, the Negro Family, the Case for National Action. Known as the Moynihan Report from 1965, was written by Daniel Patrick Moynihan, an American sociologist serving as assistant Secretary of Labor under President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1976. Now, what people need to understand, it's a good movie too. That was on HBO called All the Way, and that movie talks about is about President Lyndon B. Johnson, and much about the civil rights era or movement. Now, he became president when Kennedy was assassinated. So Kennedy was doing things, some things on behalf of the civil rights movement or what have you. So that fell into the lap of Lyndon B. Johnson. So this is kind of comes off of that. Okay, so basically, Moynihan argued. Okay, I'll say this for. He basically did a report on this. His report focused on the deep roots of black poverty in the United States and controversially concluded that the high rate of families headed by single mothers would greatly hinder progress of blacks toward economic and political equality. No, really? Moynihan argued that the rise in black single mother families was caused not by a lack of jobs. That will soon be the case, however, from the loss of jobs due to industrial restructuring, but by a destructive vein in ghetto culture, which could be traced to slavery times and continued discrimination in the American South under Jim Crow. Black sociologist E. Franklin Frazier had introduced that idea in the 1930s, but Moynihan was considered one of the first academics to defy conventional social science wisdom about the structure of poverty. As he wrote later, the work began in the most orthodox setting, the U.S. Department of Labor, to establish at some level of statistical consciousness what everyone knew, that economic conditions determine social conditions, whereupon it turned out that what everyone knew was evidently not so. Now, so it went in to talk about some things. The report concluded that the structure of family life in the black community constituted tangled pathology, capable of perpetuating itself without assistance from the white world. Damn. And that at the heart of the deterioration of the fabric of Negro society, the Negro family, it is the fundamental force of the weakness of the Negro community at the present time. Also, the report argued that the matriarchal structure of black culture weakens the ability of black men to function as authority figures. That particular notion of black familiar life has become a widespread, if not dominant, paradigm for comprehending the social and economic disintegration of late 20th century black urban life. All right, let me get this caller. What did I have next? Was it 302? I need to go back to my screen. Oh, goodness, it's taking a minute. Was it 202? Maybe it was 2. Okay, here we go. All right, I had 313, got you. 321. I got 314. Right, okay. Let's see. 717, peace. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Afro P. Back again.
What up, Afro P? How you been?
I ain't been calling in. And I do apologize for not being a contributor, but I have been a supporter. I've been sharing on Facebook. Yeah, this
Thank
topic,
you.
I have to think for this topic. Yes, feminism has destroyed our community.
All right, hold on. Let me say this real quick. I'm sorry. Hold on, Afro P. We're going in now. We got 3 minutes left in our live stream, so we're about to go into our hour of overtime. So, family, again, if you're listening online, you're going to get cut off. You have to call in within the next 3 minutes. 319-527-6058. 319-527-6058 is hell of people on the line right now. I mean, just people listening, but I got about 4 or 5 more calls. Lines I'm gonna try to get in. So I'm not trying to shade nobody or nothing. It just so happens to start with you, Afro Pick. But I'm gonna do a 3 minute, Nikki, you there? Hold on, did Nikki drop?
She might have. I know I dropped.
So
Okay, yeah, she may have. All right. I want to get I was gonna have Nikki keep time for me, but I'll go ahead and keep it. So we're gonna start.
Why you put limits on me?
You get 3 minutes, my brother.
You know, you did it to me last time I called it, man.
Listen, it ain't nothing personal. It's just how many people that's on the lines, and we just have 1 hour left. So you right at the hour mark. So just 3 minutes. I'll come back around to you, but I want to get people's initial comments, okay? So I'm gonna give you 3 minutes. We're gonna start and ready, set, go.
Okay, so I'm talking about, did the black woman destroy the black family by becoming feminist? Did the black woman choose feminism over the black liberation? And did the black woman kick black men out the home for government benefits? I mean, yeah, all three of those. I mean, I'm not just trying to beat up on black women. I know, like, you know, it's a thing, you know. But the fact of the matter is, these are the things that happen. We cannot move forward unless we acknowledge the harmful, painful past. Okay? Our community, black men and black women don't even like each other at this point. If we weren't able to have sex, we would have nothing to do with each other. That's how bad things are between the black man and black woman in 2017. Now, the government structured it where keep the man away, you get benefits. Okay? There's not a reliance on one another to build something. In fact, a lot of brothers who say anything about black women, hey, Renee, I definitely know you're excluded from this one. You know, he said, hey, yeah, I like to have relationships so we can build. Build, nigga? No, you're supposed to build it, and I come lay up with you, have a couple of kids, and then take half and chill and have massa making you pay. That's where we're at today. Now that we've established that these are the facts of the matter, what are we going to do? Come back together and start to build with each other the community that we want to live that's safe and productive. Now, that's a place that people want to move into as opposed to escape. But like that. Why are you laughing? What? You laughing at me or with me?
That's okay. Go ahead.
Well, I wouldn't matter. It's your opinion. Go ahead and speak. What you ask? Well, it matters because I'm a person who likes to respond to what's going on the phone call. But yeah, we you know, Shahrazad Ali has a beautiful book, man. The Black Man's Guide to Understand the Black Woman. We have read that book, brothers, to understand the mental condition of the woman we're dealing with today. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We can't help a woman that, you know, that we don't know who, you know, what's the problem. I mean, if you go into the emergency room and they're laying there, you know what I mean? If you can articulate what's going on with you, that's great. Okay? But if somebody tells you, hey, this person right here doesn't have gunshots, stabbed, they was smoking some crack, then you know how to address the patient. Okay? And often, black woman herself doesn't even know the mental files that have been dropped on her. You've been mistaught from grandma to mom. Okay? She ain't never been handed the set of instructions on how to be a competent black woman to a black man. Okay? Give us some pussy and some ramen noodles. That's pretty much the operating instructions they get. Okay? If they get dope. Not trying to be
Time's up, brother.
what happens to me now?
All right, time's up. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. I mean, I'm gonna open it up once I get to these new callers, so we can have more of a conversation. But let me please also say, I don't want you to just allow me to speak on my show, please. Thank you.
I apologize.
I will come back around. All right. Now, when someone else is talking, please don't people over here giggling and stuff like that. But people over here giggling and whatever y'all doing or whatever. Allow the person to speak and get their 3 minutes. These are new people on the line who have not spoken yet, okay? Once I get them in, then I'm going to go back around and everybody can have their say. But we got to be concise with it and to the point and keep it moving. All right. 302. I don't need the analytics and stuff like that. 302. Peace. What's your name? Where you calling from?
666, the boogeyman on the feminism. Feminism. How many minutes? And I know we limited as it relates to the red, black, and green, but African feminism.
Your 3 minutes starts now. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Okay, that's a beautiful thing. Let's see if you can keep your honor. White women could not vote when it comes to the 240-year failed experiment of the Confederate flag, the Stars and Stripes, the 13 colonies, or the red, white, and blue. White women, and this is Genesis, white women could not vote, smoke, drink, or even look at a black man with desire under the founding fathers. White women, not the black women, under the Constitution of the United States of America, white women could not vote, smoke, drink, or look at an African man with desire. But isn't it extraordinary that the white woman and man can look at a black woman or a black child or a black man with desire in 2017? So feminism, the white woman did not get feminism from a black man or a white man. The white woman got feminism from the African crack mother, prostitute, and stripper, the Ladies of Liberty, the free, sovereign, and independent African 666, the people of the Third Eye. The only reason that white women got any rights, no black man or white man gave her that. It was the African woman, the African slave, the indigenous woman, the woman of what you call nationality, all over from the Congo to the Bongo. The only reason that white women can drink, smoke, vote, and fuck a white or black man in 2017 is because the black woman showed the white woman what rights is all about. Right? That's my 2 minutes. Now let me get to my last 60 seconds. The red, black, and green is the feminist movement because that's the traditional movement, because no white woman under the Bible, Torah, and the Quran, Hebrew, Israelites, Moors, Muslims, and Christians, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, Babylon, it's not about the black man or the white man. This is about the majority of people on the planet Earth. And no white woman could vote, smoke, or drink before the African woman showed her what a black man is really all about. It was the African woman, crack mother, prostitute, and stripper in 2017 who showed every white woman on the planet what liberty, freedom, and justice is all about. Because I'm telling you, melanin is $393 an ounce. The white woman knows that Mother Africa is number one. Number two is the African woman's phallus, penis. No, that's number three. But her use in universe, that's number two. Number four is the melanin. Gold, diamond, silver, and all is 5, 6, 7, and 8. And how we are going to get rich in that time, or die trying to get rich, when the African woman is the fucking feminist. The feminist. Red, black, and green.
All right. So, yeah, I'm not. Okay. 862. 862, peace. What's your name? Where you calling from? 862. You're on. 862-888. One more again. If you're speaking, your line is muted. I'm going to give you one more chance, all right? Brother, sister, whomever. If your number is 862-888.
Oh, you talking about me? he talking about me, Renee?
If that's your number.
Renee, can you hear me?
No, hold on.
Renee, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's me, it's Psycho. I had dropped and I had to call back.
Okay, could you follow up or something?
Yeah, I had fell off earlier. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sitting here like, what?
I thought you was talking about
Yeah,
another. I thought it's too. Yeah, that's why.
And I'm like 862-888. No, okay, cool. Great. Did you have anything you want to say before I move on to the next caller?
Well, the thing you mentioned before about the woman not being I'm trying to think of the correct words, not being pretty much looking for their own identity and not just being known as being pretty much the co-host to the men's show, so to speak. I can understand the dilemma that Black women go through with this, because we ask a lot from our women. We put a lot on y'all. Let's just be real. You know, we ask y'all to be mothers. We ask y'all to be our friends, our wives, our teachers to our kids, everything else. So we put a lot on y'all, and somewhere along the lines, I can see how y'all can get a little lost as far as like your identity. And I see that that's a lot of the issue with women, especially. What happened? Did somebody say something?
Again, if you're talking in the back, you frying chicken or you sitting up there, I don't know, teaching a yoga class, can you please mute your line until I come to you or whatever, if you sniggling and giggling and all this kind of stuff going on. Okay.
But I definitely understand. I definitely understand the dilemma that women go through, because you know it's a balance there, and sometimes they find themselves getting lost and not really knowing who they are. You know, like, is this all I am? Just a mother? This all I am? Just somebody's wife? Like, who am I? So I can understand where their mindset goes with that. I also don't want the women to get caught up in what these white women are preaching to them with the feminist movement, which is it's cool to be a single mother. Matter of fact, they push that, and they embed that so much in women's head to where they almost make it fashionable to be a single mother. Like, they almost pushing you to that direction. Like, they pushing you to leave men alone. It's almost like they pushing you to turn gay. Some of them that is their motive, because the feminist movement is tied in with the gay agenda. Let's not get that twisted. And so it's borderline. It's a fine line to walk when you're trying to find yourself and not crossing over to that feminist route, because it's real easy, because they can really lure you in. And it's the same way when you're trying. It's the same thing on the men's side too. Like, this is how the Tammy Sotomayors of the world suck in all these men. You know, he feeds on their emotions. You know, you get some frustrated brothers who probably don't have a huge issue with Black women, probably just got a problem with their baby mother. But he taps into something. Right. He hits that chord. You know, he hits that emotional chord. He strikes into something, and he sucks them in. And next thing you know, he got them screaming, all Black women ain't shit. And they didn't even go into that thinking that, you know, but they just, you know, after hearing this stuff so much, it becomes repetitive, and you hear it. It's almost like you hear a song so much, you eventually start liking the song, even though you might not originally like the song at the beginning. You probably hated the song when the first time you heard it, but you heard it so many times on the radio, like 3 weeks later after you said you hated the song, you saying that's my shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you hear it played on the radio. So we got to be careful when we listen to some of this rhetoric. But yeah, it was an interesting manifesto that you read once I heard you read it. Excuse me.
I'm gonna send it to you, Psycho, too, because I think it is a good read. I'm gonna definitely read more of it. But I wanted to say too, I'm moving to the next slide. Psycho is my co-host. So again, we're on his YouTube page right now. If you want to go there and listen to the show and chat, you can do that as well. Go to youtube.com/SYKOPATHeist, SYKOPATHeist. SYKOPATHEIST, and you can chat over there. So I am going back to my 3-minute time limit. Like I said, Psycho's my co-host and Nikki, but Nikki's line dropped. But she's in the chat. But yeah, so let me go to 347. Peace, Renee, where you calling from? Peace and love. Oh, wait, I knew it was you. How are you? Peace, everyone. Peace, I miss you so much. It's good to hear you. And I'm going to say peace to Psycho.
Peace.
Peace to Nick. Peace to Queen Nikki. Peace to King Psycho, King Afro Pick, and all of the callers that called in. And I just want to use 3 minutes wisely. Right. I just want to say, you got it. And our quest for sisterhood and equality with our natural born enemy, we were bamboozled into feminism, which led us to feel falsely empowered by a false sense of independence. And as a result of our lack of unity and support through the divide and conquer mechanism, we became single and bitter heads of households. And I just wanted to say, with the feminist movement, they really didn't, they just wanted us on board for our votes. For for the support. I'll use the analogy as the votes because they needed strength numbers, but they never really had they had their own agenda. And like Brother Psycho said, it is a fine line between feminism and homosexuality because another thing they did with the propaganda and stuff like that, and a systemic racism and no men allowed in the household. Like if mothers wanted, hardworking mothers, they wanted their husbands with them, but they wouldn't allow men in the household. So that's another thing. The women were raising young children, and then things became dysfunctional. And also with the influx of drugs and just a whole bunch of negativity, and then propaganda. So it's a myriad of reasons for the destruction of the Black family, and that's mainly what I wanted to say. But we've been bamboozled by the sly, cunning whispers of them, like when they'll say, "Oh, but don't you want your freedom?" We didn't need freedom from the Black man because he's our strength and our protector. We needed freedom from white supremacy. So I guess we got it twisted. And I say we, although I was a child, I remember like how y'all talked about earlier, the sister spoke on the PBS special. I remember seeing Black women who considered suicide when the rainbow's enough. Although I consider it a good play, that did a lot of men bashing, and then movies like Claudine, although that's one of my favorite movies. It's a whole myriad of reasons for the destruction of the Black family, and feminism is definitely one of them. And thank you so much for listening.
Definitely. Thanks for calling in. Black Power.
Peace. Black Power. Straight Black Pride. Girl, you had 30 seconds left to go. That's what's up. And you dropped all kind of knowledge. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Thank you. Y'all did too. Man, I definitely miss you. You always bring a smile to my face. This sister is so positive and loving and warm. Much respect, much love to you. Your line is open, so if you want to say anything once I get through, I think I have 2 more callers. See, this is what I'm talking about. Hold on, let me see. Okay, so he just hung up. All right. He was complaining about being a hoe, and I said in the chat, he's like, "Oh, I keep getting skipped over." No, you don't. Like, it's a lot of people on the line, and sometimes when I go back to the line, the order is completely different.
Switched up, yeah.
So I have to try to catch where I was at. You know what I mean? Catch where I was at. Nobody ignoring anybody. If that was the case, the Mandela kind wouldn't have been on here. Anyway, so. You know I'm ignore his line if I have to. All right. Zero. Peace. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's good? It's Ron from Tallahassee, Florida, calling back. I called in Tuesday. Okay.
Yes, peace, Ron.
What's good? What's good to everybody on the panel? Sister Renee, Sister Nikki, Brother Psycho, Brother Equanese. I'm sorry for missing anybody out. Sister Medina. The Brother Afropick already took what I was going to say. I was going to mention Sister Sharzad Ali's book, but I feel like that was an example of sisters checking sisters, which is, I mean, it's fine. You know what I mean? I feel like it's enough brothers checking sisters, like the brother said last week. I mean, that's kind of some bitch nigga shit, like pointing fingers at sisters who's supposed to be providing and protecting and uplifting sisters, and pointing fingers is like really destructive. But I also wanted to mention two suggestions. Well, first I wanted to throw out two historical examples of sisters. I mean, extremely brave sisters, the Nile warriors, sisters who were in ancient Somalia and Ethiopia that fought this white man, this devil, with children on their back, man. Like, when I read that book, I mean, that story, it was really inspiring. So if you want to look that up, the Nile warriors, and also, oh man, what's the other one? The Kendaki Queen of what is now Kenya. They had an army of 100,000 black men, but they were led by a queen that went into battle herself and actually had her eye knocked out and still kept fighting and kicked the Romans out of their kingdom. But that's where the black women come from. So if you have a strong black woman that's checking you, seems like she's angry. I mean, that's where she comes from. You know what I mean? That's her nature. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Is what I'm saying. But I just wanted to say to the Brother Afropick, I mean, if you have a problem with a specific sister, man, then you need to cure her. But if you call yourself a conscious black man, you need to find you a conscious black woman, or if she's not conscious, try to, you know, invite her or whatever. But I don't know, I guess that might have been a personal issue. And I also wanted to ask Queen Renee if, I mean, I appreciate the Sister Checking Sisters programs, but I was wondering if you could just do one Brothers Checking Brothers episode, because we obviously need 1, 2, or 3, or 4 of those episodes, you feel me? And also a suggestion to do a show of coping with, I guess, Babylon, or coping with the white man, because I don't really see too many shows on Black Blog Talk about that specific subject, and I think it's hella important. I mean, I'm going through something like that myself. But I just want to congratulate you on the show. Excellent show, and peace and Black Power to everybody. Black Power.
Black Power.
Black Power.
All right. Well, 40 seconds to go. What I just to respond to that, I think I took down your email, and no, that's great, because I've had like several brothers ask me that, like, you should have a show with Brothers Checking Brothers, and I want to do that. Like, so I want to do that show, and like Psycho and Equanese can host it. If y'all be down to host it, excuse me, and I can just fall back, and I'll put a flyer and stuff together and schedule it, and we can do Brothers Checking Brothers.
Yeah.
When would y'all want to do that?
Whenever, sis.
Yeah, whatever. Whenever. Let's see. I know you got Wednesdays open.
Maybe we'll do it next Tuesday.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Just keep me just keep me informed a little ahead of time, and then everything is out
Okay.
there.
Right. That's my state. All right, so we'll do it like that then, probably next Tuesday. But yeah, okay, so I'll be in contact for all of y'all, and then y'all can just host it and speak to the brothers. So I think that's what's up. Okay, so I think I got everybody's line. Yes, I got everybody. So we all on your family.
Okay.
It's a ton of people listening. We all on here. Okay. So we can go back around and people can put they spin on what they wanted to say, and we can bridge out from there. But let me say this, we have 38 minutes left in the show. Let's talk about some things that were on the flyer, because I had some things to say, and I think it's important to go back, and I want to address on the flyer, and I want to pose them to people on the line who want to respond to them. Did black women destroy the black family by becoming feminists? We kind of talked about that a little bit, but here's the thing with that. This is a common argument from people who follow Tammy Sodomizer and this other segment of these black women bashers on YouTube. They blame the black woman for destroying the black family. Now, I had a good friend, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., on a couple of times. And in fact, when he was on, it was a show, y'all, check it out in the archives, with him and Lady of Rage. And they were on, because they have a show together. They come on every Wednesday on Block Talk. And they were talking about, well, the show was about revolutionary black women, or women in the revolutionary movement and the Black Power movement. And of course, his father was extremely integral. He's very knowledgeable. His mother was extremely integral. He was a part of a lot of things too. And of course, he's done so much. And so I asked him about that. I said, you had these guys out here who run around and say that if black women became feminists, that they chose the feminist movement over the Black Power, Black Liberation movement. And he straight up answered it like this. No, it was not that. It was policies that were created that helped to dictate the environment. I go back to what Dr. Amos Wilson said, which is that the broken home or the black family or the single mother home is not the cause, it's the effect. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. This thing is by design. And so when I talked about the Moynihan report, much of that is, and these people are social scientists, much of that is to then continue the social engineering of the black community so they can know what angles to come from, what angles to hit. It is by no fault of our own exclusively that the black family is broken. When you have a group of people where you put in a situation where the woman, first of all, and this is the thing with this patriarchy thing that bothers me with black men, not all the sons. Mm-hmm. Listen, we're trying to take a model of what of white people, white society, and how they do. That does not fit. Like Johnny Cochran said, if the glove don't fit, you must quit. Okay? So the glove don't fit. How do you form a patriarchal society on top of being an oppressed people in a white supremacist construct? How does that? Because the problem with that equation is the black woman has always worked. The black woman was treated equal to the black man in terms of being enslaved. She had to work just as hard. The expectation was for her to pick as much cotton or plant as many crops or do whatever needed to be done that was physical manual labor. Okay? She wasn't no secretary sitting there typing no notes. She was out in the field working her ass off from can't see to can't see, as they say. Right there beside the black man who's working his ass off. They found our ancestors' remains that the bones were separated from the muscle structure. That shows that people literally worked to death. And there were plenty of female bones and things that were like that. Okay? So that's just the fact of the matter. So how can you build this patriarchal system on top of that? See, much of what's built, the patriarchal system for the white community, is built upon the white man being the primary provider and protector, and the woman being in the home. That was how their structure was basically set up. So if you have a black woman who's been in a position to be treated like a man, to work like a man, meanwhile, she has her monthly menstrual cycle, she gets pregnant, she has babies, she's breastfeeding, going through all of this shit. Excuse my French, but this is how it works. People don't understand these concepts. But she was still had an expectation. 12 Years a Slave showed a great scene where Lupita Nyong'o, she could pick more cotton. Sorry. She more cotton than anyone else. And they went and they would weigh her bag, and she had more in there. And this is you see a woman who's doing this, okay, compared to men. But why that scene was important was it was to show the black woman's role during slavery was as consistent with the men, damn near, okay? Then you had a lot of women who were laundresses, who did work in the home being cooks, who were wet nurses. They breastfed the white women's children for them. They were nannies and all these sorts of things in the home. So when you had the 13th Amendment, you had the so-called abolishment of slavery. What happened is there were not many job opportunities, I'll put it like that, for black men. There just were not, okay? And then you had the sharecropping, and that whole thing was absolutely to scam black people out of money, okay? But here's the thing. Black women could get jobs sometimes more often than black men could. They could get jobs, like I said, being a laundress, cook, whatever. So because of that, you had many situations where the woman was providing for the family just as much, if not more, than the man, okay? The black woman, and this is a fact, has always been overrepresented in the American workforce. So how then is it when you have a patriarchal system that's basically set on the man being the lead as far as bringing home the bacon and the woman taking care of the children, but within our dynamic, the woman was bringing home the bacon too. Sometimes bringing home the bacon by herself. So that's why I think it's important, and when I read the Feminist Manifesto, I think it's important to look at it that we do create our own structure within our own families and our own communities. And I feel like that needs to be one of balance. So no, the black woman did not destroy the black family by becoming feminist. The black women who became feminists were a scant amount of black women. You're talking about feminist policies that impacted the black family, not black women actually becoming feminist. People don't understand that. Did the black woman choose feminism over black liberation? Absolutely not. Again, I refer you to the Panther Woman, to that documentary, and breaks that down. No, they were not trying to talk feminist over being black power. Now, you do have some people like Emma Davis, which Constance brought up earlier, who that heifer, I could go in on her for days, but she was definitely a turncoat. She's a lesbian. She pushes that heavy. She pushes feminism heavy. But for the most part, during that time in the Black Liberation Movement, women were holding strong with the Black Panther Party and other Black liberation groups, and were not joining the feminist movement. You had that was a fringe movement in the community. A lot of times it was black women who were able to go to college. It was lesbians. Think about it. A lot of these people became part of the feminist movement through the education system. You had a lot of black women in that time who were not going to college and things like this. They weren't joining up with no damn feminists, burning bras and doing all that. So that's a lie. People are, again, you're talking about feminist policies, not black women becoming feminists. Learn the difference. The last thing, and I'll pass the mic. Did black women kick black men out the home for government benefits? This is something I want to deal with real quick. That you have to understand during the time period we're talking about, the 1960s, 1970s. You had the Vietnam War and things that popped. You had black men who were overrepresented in the military war. Okay? So that took a big chunk out of our community, because you had a lot of brothers who went to Vietnam, because that really was the only choice. I talk often about my father and all my uncles are all military men. But during that time, and that was their time when they were young men, that period, there were not many choices as far as work and things of that nature where they can have gainful employment to provide for their family. So a lot of brothers saw the service as a way out, as a way to take care of their own children, okay, like my father and all my uncles did. So aside from that, there wasn't much else that was left. So for the brothers that were still out here, they were trying to get competitive pay with white men. At that time, and Claude Anderson breaks down this time period as well, it shows a huge stark difference in black men's wages and white men's wages for the same exact job. So then what you had is a community, again, who's disenfranchised. This is after this is post-integration. That place, integration helps to further divide and destroy the Black family. Okay? When you had segregation, you had an ability of Black people to employ ourselves more, to have Black businesses, to have us practicing group economics, to have us doing those sorts of things, because we only had our. Once integration came into the picture and people kind of dispersed, it helped to deteriorate the family as well. So you had these type of issues going on, and if a position where her man can't really provide, they have a baby on the way, or they have some children, okay, what is one going to do? Now, this is my problem with these sodomizing people, is they never look at the full picture. They're doing hella research on this and talking to elders. There were men and women who came up with the choice that they would get the government benefits, because the government is saying, I can put a roof over your head, I can make sure your babies can go to the doctor, I'm going to make sure that you can get a welfare check to have some money to get your incidentals. I'm going to do these sorts of things. I'm going to give you some stamps, to get your food and all that. So think about it. If you were at a time when you oppressed as hell, it's hard to get a job to make ends meet, and people see this as an option, as a stepping stone. Well, maybe for right now we will do this, and then when I get a gig, when I get something that's making more money, we'll go from there. Well, that didn't pay off for a lot of people. So you had a system that disenfranchised people, that froze Black people out from truly contributing and being able to be on a level playing field. But then you want to chastise them for getting government benefits because they are disenfranchised. So you had a lot of Black men, let me be clear, you had a lot of Black men, grown-ass Black men, who ate off of them food stamps, who lived in them government housing, okay, who benefited, so-called benefited, from those government so-called benefits and that welfare check. Let's keep it 100. So stop trying to put this whole thing on Black women. These were often choices that couples had to face making in a time where it's hard to try to make it. You want your kids to eat. You want your baby to be able to go to the doctor if they're sick or whatever the case may be. So again, we get in this position of trying to criticize history, not understanding the entire context of the situation, and we oversimplify it. Now, I've been talking forever, so I'm gonna pass the mic. Who wanna speak?
I do, please.
Yes, go right in.
Oh, peace, everyone. I just wanted to say, when you had mentioned integration, that's another integral part that helps destroy our people. And it brought me back to what Brother Knowledge had said. I remember a quote he said. He said, in our quest for social acceptance and equality through integration, we forfeited our birthright. And when he said that, he began to expound on how we were very independent during segregation because we did for self. We were our tailors. We were businessmen, had entrepreneurs. We had our own schools, post offices, things of that nature. And then when integration came into play, that's when we lost our businesses. The teachers began to go lose the jobs and things of that nature, or some would try to go into the public school system, and just everything became messed up. And thank you so much.
Yes, much love, sis. Thank you for that. Okay, whoever want the floor, you got it. Okay, nobody want to say anything?
Oh yeah.
You got like a ton of people on the line. Okay, go. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, okay, so hold on, let me do this first shot. Hold on, real quick. I'm sorry, because I'm just seeing anybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these two lines. Yes. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to get these two lines, then I'm going to go to off code, and then I'm going to go to Afro Pig. These two lines coming in, y'all going to get 3 minutes each, and then I'll go to off code. All right. This is Brother E, and then 757. Peace, Brother E.
What's up? How you doing, man? Renee, did you read the whole entire Black Women Manifesto?
No, I have not.
Well, I'm almost done reading. And I would say to most people, yeah, it is a must read. It destroys a good the myth. And there's more history to really go into if people want to research it. But the point that is this, you know, and this is why I think we'll have to start relabeling this and create a new term. Because anybody, if we thought anything was given a label like feminism, it has to be recreate now to something that's going to fit just to say. I would tell most sisters don't use that all and create something new. Because, you know, it's already given to these other race people. And by, you know, the average person, when they hear it, it's going to always go back to that and more. Because this lady, this special, you know, it lays out really on what was really the plight. Even the rise of feminism back in the 60s or 70s. Others don't take part in this foolishness now. And they're even the ones, and mind you, they had videos just back in the day. And I don't remember seeing a lot of sisters in the videos back in the day when the white women were talking about this feminism and this stupid shit. You probably see some now, but back then when it was on its rise, I rarely see any. So I don't know why most people still think that our sisters were well with it. I never seen it, you know. And after time progressed, you know, our female sisters start to fall it now. I would say rather late 80s, 90s, but back then, nah. So a lot of things that sit there keep pushing that, they gotta really do proper research. I mean, it doesn't really hold up, you know. A lot of times I think that when they make that, it's really saying some excuse that, you know, they're trying to seek some form of control in it. Really, you know, they're gonna find you something else. You know, that's why you hear a lot of them talking about say other race women are submissive. Yeah, other race women are submissive, but they also are in power relationship. Anything that they do is always in the terms of power, nothing more, nothing less. And black men should know that already. If they don't be with you, it's always what they can gain. Period. They can't don't fuck with you. I mean, I don't know if you watch these movies like Get Out and all these movies that show the here is when interracial coupling. But you know, that's what I'm saying.
All right. We had a few more seconds. All right. Cool. I'm going to go to 757. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Sister Rashid. This is Muchacha calling in. I'm calling from Virginia. How you doing?
Hey, did you say Lassie?
No, I said
you think you left the chat room. No. I know you said hey to Lassie.
Did I say no? Oh, I'm sorry.
Muchacha. How you doing, Muchacha?
I'm doing okay.
I see y'all in the chat room.
Yeah, I know, right? I just wanted to call in and say that I've been listening from the start of the show or the broadcast, and I still have not heard any individual who feels that yes, the black woman is to blame for the ills of the black community call in with proof that we as black women actually are the main reason for the destruction of the black community. I haven't heard it in the almost 3 hours now that we've been up here listening and, you know, just having this dialogue. I don't know where they are, but they're not on here tonight.
Because they can't prove nothing. That's the answer. And mind you, this few days when it was posed out, give 3 questions, 3 answers of why.
Brother, you let her finish her time.
She finished.
So, and for the individuals, so for the individuals who have said that, during the time enslavement here in the United States or wherever else, that felt that black women have just pretty much been given a pass with their oppression. I have even found where there have been arguments on different forums where they were saying that black people never even took part in building the railroads, but then there was a white guy who wrote a book who did some extensive research, and he found that in the times where they were saying that, it was the Irish who built the Irish and the Chinese who built the railroads, black people didn't have anything to do with that. He found that a lot of these railroads even hired enslaved blacks, and that included black women and black children. And I even went online just now to pull up some information, and I'm going to read a quick snippet. I'm sorry if I go over 3 minutes, but it says, a careful examination of railroad annual reports from the South begins to reveal the scale and diversity of the experience, meaning building the railroads. Most of the slave labor on Southern railroads was hired or rented from local slaveholders to grade the tracks. Enslaved women and children were also forced to work on the railroads, running wheelbarrows, moving dirt, cooking, picking up stones, and shoveling. Some skilled slaves, especially blacksmiths, were hired as well on the construction crews. But railroads began buying slaves outright in the mid-1850s. Only after the Civil War did these railroads have to reconcile their assets and liabilities to account for the loss of slavery. So, I mean, it's labor, manual labor, both on the black male and the black woman and the black children. So I'm waiting for these individuals who say that black women were just laying up with massa to come on here and really bring some evidence. I don't want to hear other people's talking points that they parrot. You know what I mean? I want them to bring the information that we can go and read and look up, for ourselves. So that's all I wanted to say.
All right.
Right down on time. I just want to say to you on that, I answer you 100%. And I think I'm going to upcode and then to Afropic, because I think Afropic is saying those sentiments, but I would definitely like him to bring forth evidence or research. But this is the type of thing that people say that some of these brothers in this who believe this stuff say. They say things like, black women drank every bit of the Kool-Aid Gloria Steinem served, and by design, it is to destroy the relationship of the black woman to the black man. Where did black women drink every bit of Kool-Aid Gloria Steinem served? Where did that happen at? And Gloria Steinem absolutely was a CIA operative, okay? She was put in position to do this. They did try to break black women off from the Black Power movement to align with the feminist movement as a means to further socially engineer the black community to sow dissension among us further, the black man and woman. There was supposedly, I think Nikki alluded to it earlier, but there was supposedly an article written in her feminist magazine and a book written rather by a black woman who was saying the black man was a misogynist and he was doing all this stuff to black women, which he doesn't have the power to do. But anyway, and they were saying all this, and it came out that supposedly the woman disappeared, just a bunch of crazy stuff. But again, these things were fabricated. However, when you talk about the average everyday black woman, women like my mother, like my aunts and everything, they wasn't in no damn feminist movement. They was out here trying to get jobs and work and take care of their babies and be with their men and try to make a family. That's what they were doing. When nobody running around, I'm a feminine woman, hear me roar. Put my bra in there, but stop it. And this is what people do. They overblow something to try to prove their point. And a lot of these dudes who say this stuff, their main thing is to attack black women. That's all it is. They don't give a damn about the feminist movement. And this is something I don't understand either. And I asked this guy this the other night. He got mad. Oh, him and some other guys, they got mad. Because they were talking about the black woman. It's a little off topic, but not really.
and they were saying how black women and some of them, they know how to play the system, and they get a check, and they can say they ain't getting it, and all of this stuff. These guys were saying and stuff about child support and this and that. And so and how the black woman does whatever. And I asked him, I said, okay, so I don't understand why you're not being going at the system. The black woman did not create the child support policy. She did not constitute those racially biased or discriminatory policies and laws. She didn't put that in place. So if she's doing anything or taking advantage of anything according to them, she's merely doing it because the system created it that way and is allowing it. So why are you going against the person who doesn't even have real power in the dynamic? Because for a lot of sisters, I think it's something when you have your baby, you have to have the father's name on there or something, and all these other things. So they come up with whatever legal ways to do this. And the black woman didn't make that. And then they like, oh, well, if you get locked up, because the one guy's like, I got locked up for not paying my child support, and then they don't even take the money off in there that you work. So then why are you not going to the system about this? The black woman didn't say, hey, when they in jail, make sure that the hours they work and don't get put to the money. She didn't do that. And this is what I don't understand. Feminism itself is an offshoot. It's merely an extension of white supremacy. That's all it is. If you destroy or you deal with white supremacy by that, so why are you trying to isolate feminism as if this is something that's encapsulated on its own? It's not. It's an extension of a larger system, and they know that. But again, a lot of these guys are cowards, I'm going to say it, and they don't want to deal with that white man. They don't want to deal with that white man's system. So it's easier than to blame the black woman and try to talk about feminism, because they know ultimately white men do have a strong truth for women. So that's another way they can avoid dealing with the reality of the condition of the black community, which is not being created by black women or black men. It's been created by you know who, by the oppressors, and we're playing out these roles. And this is why I do this show, to try to wake my people up to understand that, so we can get out of playing those roles. Also, you got the floor.
Yes. I want to say from the onset that these are just movies. They're not static. They're dynamic. So, I mean, they can shift and shit, right? One, it's interesting how when we have these conversations, it's like the big, huge white elephants in the room get dismissed or looked over. Example, one thing is, quote, the black woman bashing, or quote, blaming coons, bed wenches, and squirrelers. All of these, from my perspective, are unconstructive. And they kind of show how, unfortunately, how pathetic we've been rendered to be under white domination. Two, when we're talking about feminism, you know, the question becomes for me, what the fuck is feminism in its essence? And my conclusion is that feminism is definitely an offshoot of white domination. And for two, that it's Western female ideology politicized, right? Number three, and this is the reason why I go against this talking about man and woman shit, because a lot of times, even within this conversation, it shifted from us saying, being specific and saying, quote, black woman, black man, to just women and men. Why do I bring that up from a psychological perspective? It's because something like linguistic relativity, you know what I'm saying, these titles. And if we're talking about feminism, another question comes to me, what term was used in order to galvanize people, more specifically females, within that movement? I maintain that it was the term woman, and it kind of leads back to the Sojourner Truth, ain't I woman, and the fucking BAMs from back in the day talking about ain't I man, right? Seeking validation from other people. And lastly, speak about the Black Woman's Manifesto you spoke to me about earlier. It's why I maintain that no males on this earth are going to validate BAFs, black or females. They're not going to validate you over their own females. And if you disagree with that, you have to show and prove that shit where it's happened in a statistically relevant way. That you're going to get ran over by that. And I'll stop there.
All right, let me respond to that real quick. I don't know. I guess it was some other people, but I know that when I spoke or when I speak, I'm very clear on saying black men and black women. I say that consistently. So perhaps it was someone else or some other people who just said women and men. The other thing is, as far as, for the validation, now from just skimming over, and I haven't done an intense, breakdown, so I'll reserve, saying this, factually, but just from what I've seen, the Black Women's Manifesto was speaking in terms of detaching from the mainstream white system, detaching from white people in general and their behaviors they've put forth, and them being a model for us. From what I understand, it was about detaching from that, not getting acceptance from that, not getting recognition or validation from that. And I think it was about telling black people we need to do our own thing. That's what it talks about in more of it that I've read. So like I said, I can put it in the group so you can read it and maybe get more of an understanding. But I don't think that it was talking about validation from the larger white society. Maybe, I guess, it can be taken that way. I don't know, but I didn't really get that. I think it talked in terms of us as far as our liberation, our fight for liberation, that black women can be seen as more than just a support system, that black women can be seen as a force within the movement as well, as you would see somebody like Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. or someone like a Huey P. Newton or etc. You look at somebody like a Afeni Shakur, and she was definitely an unsung hero of the Black Power movement and of the Black Panther Party, because this sister was in there. She got hella Panthers off of court cases. She got hella brothers where they tried to put trumped up charges on them as one of their tactics they used. But she was not upheld, and in fact, it took one of the other, Kathleen Cleaver, who was married to Eldridge Cleaver, and it took her to come out and say something about that in terms of also, and not to get into that whole conversation, but the colorism that existed and things like that, to where they wouldn't uphold somebody like a Afeni Shakur. However, they had Asian men like Richard Aoki who held field positions within the Panthers. So I think that was just kind of speaking to some of that, and I think to me it was more so about bringing the black man and black woman together. And because I don't agree with all of it, like Sister Mona said. I don't agree with all of it, but some of the premise I think was full of trying to get people to move away from that. But I hear you made really great points. And I'm going to be in touch with you because I think we should definitely, I would like to hear more of your thoughts on a lot of things. Because you break it down in a very analytical way. So, all right. Afro Pig, I think we got like 2 or 3 minutes left. What was you saying? I know you got some things you were saying.
Well, be direct, nigga. Did I try to slide in?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Afro Pig hung up. But yeah, go ahead then. Whoever, I think was that Equanice, and then I think I heard brother.
Yeah, well, I was just saying that it's, it's very important, and you're going to have the dynamic. The dynamic is that our women are potentially made to be the mothers of the house initially. But we've lost, we've been broken up now. Our family's been broken up, so now she is having to participate in other functions and other roles inside this liberation. But hopefully,
let me pause you real fast. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I want to say, y'all, I think we're going to do a part 3 to this. I think this needs to be a series. Okay. Are y'all down with that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so let's do part 3 then this coming Sunday.
Okay, all right.
We can do part 3 this coming Sunday, and then we're going to kind of start here where we left off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the Black Manifesto to the people who I do know. I sent it to some people already. I'm going to send it to some more people. I'm going to send it to Off Code and a couple other people. Jason, I'm going to send it to you. And so let's look that over more. So when we come back, we can discuss it. And we can pick up the conversation about in the questions on the flyer. We can pick that up on Sunday and start from there with the conversation.
Right.
Is that cool?
That's cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, that's what's up. Okay, you got a few seconds left if you you want to get something in.
We're going to talk to the white lady shut us off. You know how Block Talk do it. But like I'm saying before, I'll do it this Sunday and I'll some more about it. All right, black people? All right, good night.
All right.
Hey,
that's what's up, brother E.
But what I was saying is that initially, with our women, and right now we just have to understand who we are as men. With us having phalluses or penises, and knowing that they're not made to go out there and just do all kind of crazy stuff with, or they're not made to be homosexual with. They're made to procreate. And understand where our women understanding that. And I've seen so many women out there trying to work while they're pregnant, and they have to do what they have to do, but that's not what they should be doing. They should be at home resting at the home, handling the business at the house. This is according to African way. So, this is the natural way, and hopefully we can get back to that. But now we may have to have some women that have more strength, more stronger qualities than men have, so they may have to run more operations. And I'm not mad at that when it's done in the right integral mind, of liberating us as Africans, as a black family, and not really seeing outside of that, because there's no I in team. So, all our works are done to definitely unify us all, black man, woman, and child.
That's what's up. Wonderful. Beautiful. So we can just end it there because we're going to cut off at any moment. So family, Sunday night, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to continue this talk. I want to really get into it with the black man and black woman dynamic this time, and not as much as like all the other kind of information I gave. So we're going to do it the same type of style. Hopefully Sister Lashee will call in, because y'all check out Psycho. Make sure y'all subscribe to Psycho page, please, and you'll get like the alert and everything. Click the bell. And then Sister Lashee, she called in I think once or twice before, but this sister has done like her own little documentaries and things on these issues. Dang, I'm surprised it hasn't hung up yet. But she did her own little documentaries and stuff. No, she did her own documentaries and everything on these topics.
Yeah.
And the sister's amazing. Oh, I'm sorry. And Psycho, you say anything you want, and I'm gonna end it.
Oh no.
Go ahead, brother.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you as far as she, make sure y'all check out. She does a lot of work. She did Egyptian series that she has, and of course her Bible series. She'll kill me if I don't mention that. she has Bible series that she does, and make sure y'all check out. Good sister.
Lashee for you, LASHID, the number 4 and you. Check the sister out. And if y'all remember that clip I played of Tommy, quote unquote, Tommy's greatest hit, or Tammy's greatest hit, she did that. And so, it was a great sister. But anyway, they ain't cut us off yet, but I'm going to cut us off. But thank y'all, everybody on the line. Man, these shows have been really
off the chain. Like, there's been hella people in here the whole night. So I want to thank y'all. Next time we're going to get more people over to the YouTube as well. We had a ton of people online tonight. So we'll be back Sunday. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Black man and black woman and black child. That's all it's about, point blank, period. And everybody, peace. Have a good one.
All right. Peace and black power.
All right.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Check it out. Check out the next show Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace and black power. We out.